I don't have actual numbers, but do you know how many businesses have ruined families? I said, if I stay on this path where business is first and it's everything is my identity, I'm going to ruin their futures. And little caveat, I swing a pickaxe digging trench 8 hours a day for $5 an hour when I came out of the Marine Corps. I said, I can do that, man. I swing this thing all day. I knocked it out in 10 hours, 100-degree heat in Tucson, Arizona, because you don't have the habits to build the base, to create the foundation to build on. You think because you're making all that money, but then your debt is way up here and you're just leaving all this money on the table. And that's what I come in and do. Like, no, we don't focus on that. Your revenue will grow if you focus on your profit.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nomad CEO, and I am here today with Richard Walsh, and I'm honored to have him as a guest. He's a seasoned entrepreneur, is an author, U.S. Marine champion, and black belt. And so on the Nomad CEO, we shine a light on men who have inspiring, transformational stories to share. And I thought that would be incredibly inspiring. So here we are. Richard, can you just give us an intro on your transformation?
Absolutely, Roman. Thanks. My first business, 20 years, I was a custom water feature builder, steel sculptor. I ended up combined that about halfway through. That was great. Best in the nation in America, really good, award-winning, published, all the cool stuff. 0809 came, I'll cut to the chase, lost everything. Okay, so lost my business, lost my home. I had 6 little kids, 4 years and younger at the time. Had to figure out what I was going to do, had to restart over, relocate, do all that, and I did that. And the big thing for me was I ended up starting and scaling 2 more businesses, getting very good at that, understanding how to do the business correctly, and we'll get into that if you like. But really was about how do I do that and maintain my freedom? How does a business not own me, right? So my book is called Escape the Owner Prison, because that's what I was in for 20 years. You can't really take a vacation because you're always on the phone calling back to the shop to make sure stuff didn't burn down. You're never getting out of the clutches of your own business. You're doing the day-to-days. You're never getting to be able to, as they say, work on it instead of in it. So I started helping other businesses. I was scaling those first two new ones, Roman. I started seeing the same patterns in all the businesses I was helping. They're all doing the wrong things, just like I did. So I said, hey, I'll write a book. Then I built an academy around that, started coaching people, started helping them so they could actually, save their families. Because, we all get into business for our families, right? Let's make a lot of money. We're going to have all this freedom. We're going to do all this great stuff. And we never get it, right?
Yeah, we're sold a dream of freedom. And then we end up in this cell, right? We build ourselves.
Yeah, we sure do. And I see it all the time. And it's heartbreaking now because I know what, luckily I lost everything in 0809 and figured out what I was doing wrong. It took 20 years. Okay, but I finally figured it out and okay, well, there's still plenty of time left. I can fix this. I can do the next thing. And let's try to connect the dots. What did we do wrong? What didn't I do? Why did all this happen? How did it go from the top to the bottom in a day? Basically is how it happened. And okay, now let's go help others do the same thing.
Yes, I mean, what you just shared is exactly what happened as well, right? One day, the good thing about rock bottom is that it's a solid foundation to build. So
that's right. There's nowhere else to go but up, right?
Yeah, and it's solid, right? Because it's such a hard ground, and so now you have a solid foundation. So a few questions pop up in my mind, and so first of all, what were your biggest realizations about, what are the most mistakes, the common mistakes that end up being the reasons why people build their own? How is it that when we sought out to be freedom through our businesses, but end up putting ourselves in those cells? So the patterns you have sort of discovered, all business owners.
Right. So I'll tell you the biggest one. I'll start with the biggest one first, and it's their business becomes their identity. Okay. That, right? It becomes who we are.
Yeah.
That's the lock on the cage. Okay. When you are your business or your business is you, right? You make all kinds of dumb decisions. Okay. You don't get to escape because it's who you are. And if you escape, then you don't have an identity, right? That's number one. The second one is you feel that what you do it the best. And I don't take that away from anyone, but the problem is they won't let anyone else do anything. If someone's 95% as good as me, they should be doing the work, not me. But if I'm worried about that 5 or 3%, my customers aren't going to know the difference, I guarantee you. And I found this out over time too, But really, it's that control, okay? It's what it is a lack of trust. You don't trust the people you have on the team to do what you've told them to do, train them to do, or whatever that is, and let them do it. So that's number 2. That's a biggie for people because that's what keeps them at 4 employees, 6 employees, maybe, right? Maybe an office manager if they're lucky or smart enough, right? But they keep doing all those dailies as well, right? And the last thing is building the really truly focusing on building a system that works them out of a job, building a self-running business where only they, the owner, is only focused on the 5% of the business only they can do. The vision, right? The growth, the reeling in the big clients. That's the owner's real job. Everything else can be trained, taught, delegated, given away, whatever you want to call it, right? But people can do it a heck of a lot better than you could. Okay, they can do all that stuff you're doing every day way better than you. Okay, and they're really going to help your business grow when you let them. So those are the top 3 things. And when you look at your business, if you kind of feel you're in that position, check your identity, and then from there, really look at, what am I doing? Am I letting go? And the last thing is, am I systemizing the business? Am I creating a business that if someone wanted to buy it, they could hand me a check, Roman? I can take the check, I can walk out the door, and no one knows the business sold because it runs so well. There's no hiccups to happen, right? Now they can do whatever they want with it, but I've got my money and I'm out the door.
Yes, I mean, some part is sort of obvious if you don't map out a system that allows you to delegate what you're doing. The first important reason you mentioned about the identity, it's not obvious, right? Because that's something that you could argue this. You could even argue that, did you say, you always know that saying yourself, right? It's always just a sounds like a thing, but it's necessarily one. It can be. It has good. I mean, the values, and right, the vision.
I'll call it something else, Roman. It's not an extension to me. It's a mistress. It's a stinking mistress, okay? It is a temptress. It is someone who's going to pull you away from your family, pull you away from your friends, okay? It's always going to want your attention,
Yeah.
okay? You have all this over here, but especially if it doesn't run well, because you're thinking every moment when you're not there, you're there. You wake up, who's not coming in today? What's going to happen? Is this guy going to actually come on board? Am I going to get a contract on this? Am I going to make payroll? All these things that are going to run through your mind, that's a mistress.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're going to keep pulling you from your family. I don't have actual numbers, but do you know how many businesses have ruined families?
I don't know that.
I mean, you got this great relationship and you got families and you got kids and they're all estranged. It's ruined because the business. My identity is that, right? I have to make this work. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this so we can have these things, right? I got to make more money. I got to run my business. It's all lie that we tell ourselves. Because if we really cared about the family, and I'm being a little harsh here, but I'm doing it to myself as well, that's what I had to do, we would fix that business so it runs itself. I profit very well from it, and I'm spending the bulk of my time with my family. I go to all my kids' games and their recitals and everything else they do. We go on real vacations, and I'm not on the phone. I'm actually present, right? That should be my goal, is to work on that, right? Not, had that excuse, I'm going to go escape to my business every day, So, I'm a little tough on that because I lived it. I woke up one day, Roman, I'm like, and this was in '09, everything's collapsing around me. I'm like, my kids don't care how many trucks I have. They don't care how big our house is. They actually don't even care what I do. They just want me to be around once in a while. I said, if I stay on this path where business is first and it's everything, it's my identity, I'm going to ruin their futures. They're going to have failed marriages, bad relationships, right? They might do good in business. Everything around them, friendships, all that stuff will be broken because of what they saw me do. Because more is caught than taught with kids, right? So I may tell them to do certain things, but kids are going to do what they see, right? And even it'll become a default for them. So that's why I caution people when you're in that owner prison, when your business is going that direction, this is the time now when you need to get that help, get that coaching, get those consultants, whatever that looks like, whoever it is, to get that business dialed because do it for the future of your family because it really makes a difference.
Yeah, if you don't have that, if you have, I don't have problems, still hold. I mean, so right now, I'm just going to give you my context. I know it's all of the true because I have a startup that I built over 15 years. I ran in all of those because it was so much dependent on the other. I sort of managed to walk away from it at some point, but then I did not back it up. So I ended up being scammed by the very person and that's also the reason why I learned because I I didn't take the stability. I just made a lot of mistakes when delegating. And now it's different because now I'm really different consulting, and I'm trying to build everything like as say light as possible. I mean, I try to do this like a solopreneur, right? Just try to not do these employee. I don't want to hire, if possible, not at all. Build a system that allows me basically automate everything. This is where I'm at right now. Now I have this process that the offer that works, and so I need to map out the whole system so that I can delegate writer.
Yeah, I think it's great today, especially because now we can hire virtual assistants.
Yeah.
They can work 10 hours a week and they're happy. We don't have these full-time in-house people who need 40 hours a week and they need this money and these benefits and all this kind of stuff. We've got a little more of a, I hate the term, but a global economy, where we can dip in these different parts of the world with experts. I mean, just because, if they're in the Philippines, they're making $4 or $5 an hour and everyone thinks that's bad. And a little caveat, I swing a pickaxe digging trench 8 hours a day for $5 an hour when I came out of the Marine Corps. So, so for me, it's like, okay, well, they're there, right? They're that with their economy, but they're certified, they're experts, they have skills, they have a resume, and they can benefit your business, right? So we can utilize that with like your situation is ideal for that, right? Get these people to do these small parts of your business, basically in a part-time capacity, and you can grow your business. You can maintain your freedom. You can do the stuff you like to do.
Yeah.
And let the stuff you don't like to do, let others do that. I love it.
Yeah. And this stuff was not available back in when I started my first company, 2007. We didn't have ones like Upwork, Fiverr, that basically to be and it's very highly specialized. Not just specialized, but also motivated. I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't really matter if someone is from the Philippines charges you $4 an hour when if they are motivated and do their ethical, and you have a good asset
Right.
working for
I've worked with
right?
I've worked with incredible VAs. Super nice people, man. Very high integrity. They do exactly what they're told to do. They can follow
Yeah.
instructions. They really,
I have one.
they drive home and get the goal.
Yeah, totally. I have one in Jakarta. Amazing, always on top.
Mhm.
And also, I mean, she does all the bookings right now here on Pop Match, and my other takes care of all of that and can change it. It's just a nightmare to remember what happened when my crisis, and then I had to lay off. The damage that was the instability that caused. My company took another just because of those layoffs, internal instability that was through that, on top of the external from the pandemic and all that mess. I lost total control because of that. There was one fire after another that I have to extinguish, but yeah, things are different today. We're living in a different economy, a digital economy that allows a lot of exciting, right? So what would be your advice, or what would be your take on young? Because again, the theme of this podcast is I'm inspire young men who have also maybe pivotal moment in their lives. Okay, you know what? I'm done. Total change. So from a business consultant, coach standpoint, 3 to 5 recommendations, advice.
Yeah, I would say first, if you're going to go out on your own, okay, I think entrepreneurship, business ownership is your number one vehicle to freedom. It's the fastest way to freedom. Okay. It's the most sustainable way to freedom. And on the flip side, it also can take you into immediate ruin. Okay. Because if you don't know what you're doing, okay, if you're just, and so here's some of the takeaways. All right. The first one is going to be as soon as you can, before you even launch your business, find someone to get in the mentor capacity for you. Now, a mentor is free, right? That's someone with a lot of experience who's willing to help you out once in a while, which means you buy them lunch once in a while, you sit down, you pick their brain for an hour, and then you leave them alone. You don't hound them every third day, right? Because they're never going to talk to you again. But you want to get that, say, listen, I want to go where you've been. You're a guy who's now at where I want to be someday. So I'm in the beginning. What would you suggest I do? So always search out mentorship in the beginning. Now, as you pick up a little bit of steam and start getting traction, and I don't mean until you're making a lot of money. I mean, now get a business coach. Get someone who's going to come in. It doesn't mean a subject matter expert per se, but like, let's understand the business. Let's really get that plan of where you want to go with this thing. Now, I call it exit strategy. We go out to the end. We figure out how long we want to do this. How much do we want to get for the business? Then we reverse engineer back to where we're at today. Now we have a real plan. and we stay focused on that exit. So if it's 10 years and $10 million, so be it. What do I need to do? What does that look like today to get to there? Right. So, really important they understand that they can't just start and sell a product, come up with an idea, and then try to make it with no plan. Okay. That's like if I'm in the US, I'm in New York, I'm in my car, and all I know, I want to go to California. All I know is it's west. Okay. The good news is I'll probably see all of America, but I'm going to end up at the Gulf of Mexico or something and think I'm at the Pacific because I don't have a map. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm just in front of a big body of water and go, this must be it. Right? Because I didn't make a plan. So the plan is critical.
Yeah. I also, well, yes, I would say yes, of course, but also to a degree, no. I mean, I think when you're starting out, specifically when you're I think actually you run into problems right away. A good thing you can then figure it out. Continue with your analogy. You start the West Coast, and then I don't know, the car breaks down in a day, and you're in a village in the middle of nowhere. People will tell you, okay, so I will probably go this way. So and then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because it takes. I think the biggest problem for entrepreneurs at the beginning, or for guys that know that they're to create something, but unsure, because one of the procrastination
Yep.
and not having courage, to take the first leap of faith, making this decision that is really for now permanent. It feels like permanent. That is okay. Now I'm leaving security behind, and I'm leap of faith in my abilities to figure it out as I move forward.
Right. I call it ignorance on fire.
Okay.
That's what you want. Ignorance on fire, because you're on fire, you don't know what's going on, but you're running and doing something, trying to put it out, right? That's a good thing. That's what you're saying. It's imperfect action. That's what you take. I'm totally with you, Roman. That's the key to success. Okay. We all start right there.
Yeah.
I was swinging a pick, right? Digging trench for $5 an hour. A guy came out of a house, said, "Hey, I got a side gig. Could you help me out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "I got 35 tons of gravel. I need to shovel from the street to my backyard and spread it." I said, "I can do that, man. I swing this thing all day." I knocked it out in 10 hours, 100-degree heat in Tucson, Arizona. He came outside when I'm done. I'm sitting there leaning against my shovel, looking at my beautiful work. Roman, he put $1,000 in my hand. Okay. And remember, I'm working for $5 an hour at my day job, swinging a pickaxe. I made $45 a day before doing the same thing. So guess what I decided I'm going to do? I'm going to be a rock shoveler. Okay, if I can make $1,000 a day, I'm going to get me some work. So I'm just going to get out and knock on doors, see people that need stuff. And I birthed the landscape business. That became a custom water feature business. That became steel sculpture and everything else, right? So I didn't have a plan. I was swinging a pick. Okay, so I'm just what you said. I'm like, there's opportunity here.
Yeah.
Someone has to take the rock from the street to the backyard. That's how they do it here. I can do that. I will do this all day, every day for $1,000 a day. It was a good thing. And it launched the whole business and career.
Yeah, because you know what? There's always also this element of surprise and opportunity that you can't account for it. And then also, like, I mean, planning is all fine and good, and I'm also have goals. Yesterday I was talking to a guy. This goal is fulfill. No, this was a goal I had to. I actually, that is your goal before 1 billion. So he sought out to fulfill 1 billion people. And I said, okay, this sounds kind of incredible because, I mean, first of all, what is your definition, right? So what do you mean fulfilling a billion as a goal, right? As where your head is. It's more than a goal. And then he explained to me that, well, he's talking about a variety of aspects, spirituality, entrepreneurship. So you're basically betting on humanity, that not only because 1 billion people is sort of 15% of our world population. So you're betting on 15% of the world population to be entrepreneurs. And then I said, okay, it's a lofty goal, man. And then he said, yeah, but working on it. And I said, okay, cool. I mean, I like the specificity and the ambition, but yeah, I don't know. So there's clearly what I'm trying to say here. There's clearly a between. I mean, getting started and then figuring it out as you may move forward. Having good goals. Yeah.
I think what's important and what I learned, and it comes down to words, because words have meaning, right? Goals are great. Okay, I get it. But let me just challenge you a little bit, especially if you're just starting in business. Okay. You don't want goals. You want targets. Okay. I don't hit a goal. I hit a target.
Yeah.
I know the red dot in the middle. That's what I'm going for. Right. And I can change the distance of all the targets. So if I'm new, I got close targets, right? So I can at least hit something. right? If I'm just starting in something, I don't know how to shoot this weapon called business, entrepreneurship. I better get some targets that are close so I don't feel like a complete loser every day. I need to have some wins. So I like to define them as targets, and we start moving the targets then, right? We start getting more distance. Okay, I'm a 10-yard target. I got a 30-yard target. That's 10-day, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, right? I'm hitting targets. That means I'm winning. Okay, I win because I hit the target. If I don't get a goal, okay, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't get it." You know what I mean? It's hard to measure. I guess you know what I'm saying? If you can break it down simpler like that, and you have these faster steps of accomplishment, you're gonna stay more motivated because entrepreneurship can be it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, like you said, you're gonna run into stuff every single day there's gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you don't have ways to win inside that, you're gonna get burnout really fast and you're gonna wanna quit.
Yeah. I found out for this work to endeavor is that the how you systemize, how you map out your, for example, so
Mhm.
this dashboard for my clients always for me is like where I just write down the immediate right now for insane results. Don't even only just before that it was get your it's very specific, but so insight and then repetition, like forcing myself to priority every day. So I don't, because it's really like habits. Either you stick to them every day and remind yourself that this is the thing right now you have to focus on. It's gonna, or otherwise it's gonna be gone, right? So the smaller the achievable. So yeah, that is where I guess we have, and everyone is. It's a habit for you. You were gone.
Yeah, you froze up there, so I
Oh,
was still moving, but
we're,
it's
we're
okay.
good
We're
again.
back.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'll tell you, the thing that you're saying is just that's it. That's focus on what you have to do, the repetition, the consistency. That's where you win.
Yeah.
If you want to get fit, you're going to go to the gym, whether it's 3 days a week or 5 days a week. It doesn't matter. Just do it every 3 days. Go every 3 days. Go 5 days a week, and just keep going and going and going. And that's where the results come, right?
Yeah.
So you're completely right. Is building the habit structure.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, we're talking early entrepreneurship. You have to build those habits because if you don't create those habits now, you're not going to scale you're not going to grow because you don't have the habits to build the base, to create the foundation to build on. So you're always going to be pulled one way or another. You're going to be distracted. You're going to chase the next shiny object, the next opportunity. You think you can make some quick money because this, I'm air quoting, isn't working because you haven't put in the time, you haven't put in the habits and the consistency. That's what's going to win. And it sucks. It's just terrible. But you got to do it. You just have to do it. There's just no way around it. So, in the beginning, I always tell people that first 2 years, super hard work. You're going to wear all the hats. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do all kinds of dumb things, but the goal is not to have it be 10 years later and you've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. The goal is to get out of that startup position, delegate, put people in their lanes, let them run. You start to move. Now you're prepared to actually grow and scale, right? You're prepared for that because you know where you're going to go. You don't want to get caught. The prison's those first 2 years on a hamster wheel again and again and again, just running in place. That's what'll drive you to whatever. It's not a place you want to be.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, I think this is true, not just for business in general, right? No matter if you want to build a body, a small habit.
Yeah, I had a conversation this morning with a gentleman about routine, because he's got a small robotic startup business and stuff. And I said, listen, I said, it's routines. Little tiny, you're trying to make these big routines. Those don't work. You got to do little thing. I have a morning routine. I get up at the same time every day, 4 days a week, 4 a.m. I get up. I have a whole system. The first thing I do, the second, the third, drink my 32 ounces of water. I drink two cups of functional mushroom coffee. I go to the gym at 5:30. I get an hour workout. I come back. I get cleaned up. I prepare my food. I'm off and I'm out, right? I'm out the door and I go to the office and I get to work. But the first 4 hours of my day are on point every single day. I do exactly the same thing 7 days a week. Okay. I don't sleep in on Sunday. I don't, unless I wake up at 4:20 instead of 4. Okay. But that's about it, right? That's because those habits. Okay, I don't suffer. Hey, I think I'll stay up till 2 in the morning because I can sleep in. All that does is ruin my next day. I'm tired, I'm dragging, I don't feel good, I'm not sharp. Why would I want to do that to myself? Now, I have somewhat like you, I have some age and wisdom. Okay. I've been around a long time, so I understand. I don't do what I did when I was in my 20s. Okay. You could do that then, but now I have the value of sleep and rest and physical exercise and using my mind, right? Connecting with my Lord, all that good stuff. I understand what that is, so I put it into a routine.
Yeah, that's a big advantage. I was so
Oh,
stupid.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
I mean,
unbelievable.
no 20-year-old will tell you they're stupid, though. Like me, I had it all going on. I knew everything. Okay.
I was so stupid. Waste so much time on
Brother.
idiotic, had no value as whatsoever to my life. I don't want to say I regret, but I would say now with my, I would make.
That's why we do what we're doing now, right? We're just taking our wisdom, and hopefully you're young listening to this. You're in the start of your 20 or 30, whatever. But believe me, I had a billionaire client giving me advice, okay? Free advice. Do you think I took any of it? No. That's the level of stupid I operated at, okay? This guy owns multiple professional sports teams, manufacturing plants, self made, multi billionaire, but he doesn't build water features. What does he know? That's the level of stupid I operated at, Roman. It's embarrassing when I think about it, but I also have to laugh.
But you know what?
So
This is a good example. Thing I crossed the other day is there's certain things in life they're called teachable lessons. Unteachable lessons are usually those are the ones in life. It's also that they're really those are the things like make you happy or your parents more often or like stuff like that. Like really like those are the things do not to learn from others. We have to go and feel it ourselves. We don't want to, even though on a intellectual level we might understand what generations before us have sort of trying to teach us and tell us, but we're still take the advice and we just experience and we don't want to get we just capable of learning from others, so we have to so a teachable lesson.
yeah, when you have kids and they fall down, well, they got to get up. I can't go pick them up and put them back on their feet. Like that was a big thing for me. I just look at me, you're okay, get up, and I walk away. Because they fall down, they look at you like they want to cry. I go, you're good, get up. Oh, and they get up and they go. Right?
But yeah, I mean, this is an example that is, but then there's other like, why would you reach goals that, why is it, why would you base all of your, that clear that you need a compelling why instead of,
Yeah, I think, Roman, that is, and I use the gross revenue scorecard. People build a business and all they look at is the gross revenue. I did $3 million. I did 300,000. I did $10 million. And I said, well, how much did you keep? Okay, gross revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family, right? What are you keeping? Why are you not even talking about your profit? You're not talking about your margins. If you're not talking about your margins, if you're not talking about your profit, guess what you don't have? You don't have good margins, you don't have good profit. You're looking at the wrong scorecard.
yeah,
You think because you're making all that money, but then your debt is way up here and you're just leaving all this money on the table. And that's what I come in and do. Like, no, we don't focus on that. Your revenue will grow if you focus on your profits. People have it backwards. If my revenue grows, my profit will go. Not necessarily, because that growth takes money, right? Scaling is not growing. Growing takes money, right? It's more equipment, more personnel, more. Scaling is duplicating. Systems already built, they're in place. You take them with you and you apply this and this. Very different situation when you scale compared to growing. So if people stay in growth mode, they're constantly expending additional income, right? They've got to use the money to grow. They're not focused on scaling and maximizing their profit,
yeah.
right? But these are things that we tell people, and this is another almost unteachable lesson because they're so consumed with that revenue number that you can't open their ears. Their eyes aren't seeing what it is, or someone told them that's the number they should be chasing, and they've clung on to it, and they're driving for that goalpost.
Yeah. This I think this only become exacerbated worse to media because now we on X on any with these numbers to sort of give us credibility and authority and in the space, so others want to be with us and talk to us. And this was already bad before social media, but now it's 10 times because of ego. But we're who we are. We listen to the ones that powerful that.
Well, these days, we've really become way more visual learners than we ever used to be. There's always been some people are more visual and some people are, verbal, some people read, but now we're conditioned via our phones and everything else to be very visual. So and I'll say they're not doing the math. They're just looking at pictures or seeing the stuff, right? They're not going, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, what's the real math? Well, how much you keeping, right? I had a client, he's doing 10 million a year in revenue and he's not even taking home 100,000. That's broken. That doesn't work. I don't want to work that hard to make so little. Okay. That's a lot of work. So, we if this discussion does anything for people listening looking to start, is what we just talked about is probably your biggest takeaway. The unteachables, let them teach you. Like, and all, it doesn't mean you have to be like, swallow the whole thing. Just understand, like, what people say, like when people say money isn't everything. Well, then people say, well, let me find out. Give me all the money and let me find out myself. But I'm like, well, you talk to everybody who's made it, unless you're like Rockefeller or someone, but you're like, it's true. You can get to the top of the mountain. You can sit on that pile of money, but you're doing it all by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no one to share it with. It's no fun. There's no one who cares about you. You got 2 people at your funeral, and that's because they're paid to be there. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta, take some of this wisdom and apply it to what you're building, because you can still be massively successful, but like have a life too. Have that balance, which everyone wants.
Slapping it because it was like just me, because since when I left Mexico, left all of my collapsed, and I left this life with 2 parents. I still have both my mom and my dad, but I don't have any. I mean, my adolescent that, but now I'm in 3 months in Bali now, living here. If I die tomorrow, I think I would not have more than 2 guys at funeral, and that was because I paid.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have a standing joke with my kids. I say, if all my friends were on one hand, if I lost 3 fingers, I'd still have all my friends. Okay. Because I am quality over quantity. I want what I call trench buddies.
You know what? This is actually one of the main motivators that drove me, because I felt like I live in a country which is new to me. I don't speak the language, and I'm just trying to connect with other individuals, men that have maybe had a situation, so that on other people's problems, that I feel better. This is really the real reason why I'm reaching out to men, is because it makes me feel better. That's the real reason.
And that's the popularity of podcasts. People, we don't have these ways to connect in person anymore. We do, but we don't do it, right? It's ways to get on this podcast and listen to you and I, a couple of goofs, talking about stuff. And like, if you sit back and listen, go, yeah, shaking their head going, I know what they're talking about, right? They feel included, the conversation between us, but they get it because we've already been maybe where they're at now or whatever. We're giving them ways out. I mean, it's real, it's legitimate, it's authentic. I mean, Roman, you and I didn't plan anything. We jumped on this thing and we started talking.
Yes.
Like, that's what I do with my podcast. Right.
And you know what? I've been only doing this for 2 weeks now, not more. Before that, I've been doing appearances as a guest, because I wanted to know what the hang of it. But now me being a host, this has just started, and you know what? My experience has been incredible, because what really has worked for now, I mean, at least until now, it has worked out for me, is that the focus on just one very specific profiles, like, because I do make these pre-interviews, because I don't want to make a podcast too broad. We're trying to sit down to men that have had a similar experience, but the good effect, or the consequence of that, is that the connection is strong, because we can relate, we share different, we've been there, right? But and then it's an emotional response and appealing, and then I guess other men to this actually get a lot more value.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been on over 200 podcasts as a guest. I've done 200 as a host. Okay. That's 400 people I've talked to.
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't even know if I knew I didn't even know if I knew 400 people before then. Right. So it's just like, but now I'm having these hour, 20-minute, hour and a half conversations that are just awesome. And
Yeah.
people get to sit in with it. It's like sitting around the fire. I just love it. I love it.
Since we're being honest here and authentic, another reason why I'm doing, because, and this is about vulnerable thing to say, but talking about social media. So my Instagram, right? My Instagram was, I was a photographer. Well, I still am, but I stopped doing. It wasn't any money anymore, and I needed to sort of a revenue. And but my identity was still linked to that account, and so the reason why I know this content thing is because I want to just myself, right? So I want this out, and people resonate that have, when you live too much isolated, it can be problematic if you're not able to express yourself properly, and I don't know, things bother you, and so you wanted to share feedback on important. Again, The other day, I was watching a video about this guy called Orion Taliban. He Psy Hacks channel. You should check it out. And the topic of the video was like, men need a tribe. I mean, men need to go have 2 days a week with their friends. Men, basically, not
Mhm.
women. Women are different. Men need to, because we tend to isolate, sort of not open. When we have to just walk away, and
Right.
that's a bad habit, man. Good way.
Yeah, I've done so much on podcasts talking about amazing things. There's exact same things you're talking about, right? These issues and get people, guys with families or what. And we talk about this because I've been married 25 years. I've got 6 kids I've raised. I have all this experience now. Run multiple businesses, lost everything, started over. I'm still a sculptor. I'm a boxer. I mean, I still work out hard. I do all, like, you know, I can share.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I just that's not for me to keep. That's for everybody else, you know, but it doesn't do any good to hold on to that stuff. You know, let me apply it in different ways that I can help other people. That's why I do my coaching business because I get joy from other people's success. I have to see other people succeed. I'm not happy unless people are succeeding. I'm not that guy who has to be number one. You know, I'm a benevolent servant, right? I'm like, I'll help you with your business, man. Just if you'll just do what I tell you, you're gonna be okay. So so please just do what I tell you and you'll see. And then they do and they go, "Oh, you were right." I go, "Yeah, go figure. Now go do this." And I love to see it because they all of a sudden they're running now instead of stumbling. Okay, they get a good pace. They start running. You're like, "See, you got it. I'm letting go of the bicycle, right? I'm holding the bike while they're pedaling, learning how, and all of a sudden they're pedaling on their own. I stop running and holding the bike, and they're down the road. I love that. That's what I want for people. I want them to experience what like you and I have experienced, right? We've been victorious in business. We've lost everything in business, and we grew it again. That's the part they got to hear about. They're doing it again after we lost everything. That's what this podcast is about, right? We've
Yeah.
overcome this big stuff.
It's this
They
is
want to hear that.
Yes, because it's such a fucking horrible moment when you're at the bottom, and
Mm,
you just can't imagine to get off you. And so that's when you need those stories. That's when you need to hear that it's totally normal to that everyone has in life where shit happens one way or another. And then you just need those other guys sharing their experiences. Forget focusing on your own misery. Start focusing on doing the things that you need to do in the
yeah.
moment.
Champions play, they lose, they come back tomorrow and play again.
Yeah.
That's what you have to think about. Okay, total bust out today. I lost, I failed. Tomorrow's a new day. Come back tomorrow and you do it again and you win. Okay? It's just that is life. What do they say? The 3 stages. You're heading into a crisis, you're in a crisis, or you're heading out of a crisis. Those are the 3 stages of life. You're somewhere in one of those 3 all the time. You know, into it, you're in it, or you're coming out of it. So once you accept that, you figure, okay, business as usual. Let's go get something done. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's incredibly interesting in conversation, Richard. I would say the last question here is, would you like to share final advice for the audience that is a final takeaway to check out your website? Let me know.
Sure.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, I would say keep it really simple. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. That's my website. You can find all kinds of great stuff there. And since this was such a great conversation, let's do this. I'm going to give your listeners a gift. Okay. So I wrote a best-selling book called Escape the Owner Prison, right? If they go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com and just go to my contact information, right? Send me a 1-sentence email. Say, Richard, I heard you or saw you on Roman's podcast. I'd love a copy of of Escape the Owner Prison, the audio version. It's free. Send it to me, and I'll send it to him.
That's
So
amazing.
just send me an email. Say, hey, you're awesome on Roman's show. Can I get your copy of the audio version of Escape the Owner Prison? And it's yours. I'll send it right out to you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, I really appreciate the time. Where I had an awesome with you. I really and hope to we can keep in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. These conversations are great. And I wish you the best luck with this show. Like keep getting great guests. You're doing all the stuff that you're doing everything right. I just want to encourage you. Just keep going. Do these, be authentic, have these great conversations. They mean way more than scripted one question, answer. Don't ever do that. No one wants to listen to that. People want to, they're sitting in with us, right? We're all in the same room here chatting. It's really awesome. So keep this format up because I love it. That's how I do mine as well.
Yes, this was intuitive, Richard. I have to admit this.
Right.
I just think that it can't be and you're not authentic. You have the conversation needs to be
Agreed.
magnetic. If it's not that, this is not a good crappy con. So this was a no brainer for me because I knew that if I'm not able to connect with the person on the other side, this is just gonna be, and I don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people we do 30 to 45 minutes or until we're finished. Now, we could be done in 20 minutes because you're a terrible guest. Or we could go an hour, hour and a half. Okay, so it depends, right? So I don't set hard limits, but it's like, hey, I've had a few people who are not, we're gonna wrap this up because they're not a good guest. And hey, not everyone's, whatever. But I tend to go an hour on most of my podcasts because the conversations are so excellent.
This is actually the longest I've had so far. And I've had the other ones that were already, they were also very good, but I do sort of cap it at 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, even though I like the flow of it and everything. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that if the opening question is about transformation, that you're setting it up for, I mean, from there, where can you go other than direct to the stuff, right? So, and the rest is just where we sort of naturally flow in because of.
That's what I do. Wherever it goes, it goes. Same thing as a guest. I'm like, you're in charge. Wherever you want to take this, I'm along for the ride. We can have a great conversation on many different things. So wherever you want to go, we go, and it'll be awesome. Regardless.
Yes, amazing. Well, thanks again, Richard. Really appreciate it. It was lovely. I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Roman.